We find Oliver and Preen and a couple of her remaining gang members, while the corpses of a couple others are outside. Um, they've taken some time, over the course of an evening, to rest as they can see right across the water their bus and bike burning. It's not looking great for us right now. But they have a task to do. So we have our Oliver and Preen. Sorry, I just had to decrease my barter by one because it's a new session. Um, in the morning, they get up. They say to Ick, "Well, which way, Joe's? Which way is Joe's girl?" And he gives them some very kind of vague directions, like turn right at the rock, right? These kinds of things. But it's enough that between uh, Preen and Oliver and Preen's men, they think they have some sense of the general direction in which they're heading, right? And they say yes, we will go. We will recover the projector as best we can. So we'll return. We leave fairly early in the morning, and the waste. I like that. I like that. I remembered that one. It's the wasteland is still. I feel like I said wasteland a few episodes ago. It wasn't just last time. I think it was before that as well. In any case, right? Yeah, because it's like T.S. Eliot. In any case, the wasteland still very cool because it's early in the day. As is often the case, right, with dry places. So they get in the boat, they motor across to the shore, um, past the remains of their vehicles, which may or may not possibly be reparable. Fortunately, Oliver is one where repairing things is one of his skills. In fact, the motto of his class, the Savvyhead, is that there's one thing you can count on in an apocalypse world, it's things break. It's his job to deal with that kind of stuff. So, we're good. We're good. Maybe. All right. So let's go ahead and try this. Um, so I think that we're going to head up. We're going to look for where Joe's scroll would be. So the question is, how do we want to deal with this? Because there are a number of ways we could. Now, one possibility would be for us just to like try to sneak in. We're gonna sneak in real quiet, like, right, and just grab the thing and run. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. I don't know that that is the approach that Preen would take. I have the feeling that Preen tends toward overconfidence. In part because they and their gang agreed to help Fleece's Landing fight off Bill's gang, which we know is much larger because just a piece of Bill's gang was larger than all of Preen's gang last time, which is why part of Preen's gang is now dead, and Bill's gang took no damage whatsoever. So, just keeping this all in mind. All right, so I think that Preen's going to want just direct confrontation. That's I think what Preen is going to be angling for, and I don't know that Oliver really feels like he can say no at this point. Right? So, all right, we're going to go. We're going to find Preen's gang. No, we're not going to find Preen's gang. We're going to find Joe's girl. That's it. And we're just going to straight up confront her about this and take the thing. That's it. That's it. Well, I'm going to say that it makes the The directions we have are reasonably good. They do, in fact, get us to Joe's girl. Now, this area isn't particularly built up, right? What we know is that we have Ick that lives on Ula's Isle. Who Ula is, we don't know. Probably somebody who lived there at one point, maybe. I don't know. But whatever. That's not who's there now. Joe's girl, we don't even know if there's a Joe. There's no evidence of one anywhere. But in any case, right, I think that she just kind of lives in a tent because we know that she is kind of a wanderer type. She might not even live in a tent. She might just have a hammock or something like that, tied up between a couple dead trees. I like that image. Let's go with that. Right. So she's that's very much the way that she's living. Why did she steal this this holographic projector? Who knows? Who knows? You know what? She's like a weird psychic type. Maybe she's planning to use it for something. I don't know, faking seances or whatever. I mean, she could have a real seance, but whatever. Whatever. We don't need to know why. All we need to know is that we can threaten her and take it. That's it. Okay. So I think that that's really the plan here is that we are going to go and we're going to threaten her and we're going to take it. That's the ultimate goal. Okay. Right. So I think that we get there to uh, her place, and what do we want to do here? So I think the first thing is we are trying to. I guess we want to go aggro. This feels obvious, right? So I think that we are, um, like we collectively. So I guess this is using the gang to go aggro. There it is, using a gang as a weapon. Okay. Right. So if we sucker someone, uh, when you have a gang, you can sucker someone and go aggro on them, make a battle move. Using your gang as a weapon, you do roll the dice and make your choices, but it's your gang that inflicts the suffer's harm, not you yourself. Okay, fine. Right. Right. So in this case, Oliver's the one that's going to be going aggro using the gang. All right. So I mean, it's okay. Here's what we want. We're here. Ix sent us. He's going to be very direct about this. We're not like trying to trick her or anything. No, we're just laying it out there. You took this projector from Ick. We want it back. That's it. You can either give it to us, or there are going to be problems. We outnumber you. So, yeah, there are going to be problems, and we'll take it anyway. It's up to you. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and roll plus hard on this. Hard, which I just improved to a 0. Yeah. And that's a fail. That's definitely a fail. That's not good at all. Be prepared for the worst. So, what in fact is the worst? Well, let's roll here a 1 on my. Okay. Cause harm. Oh, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. Well, here's the problem. What we have here, we're threatening somebody that's a psychic, right? And psychics can sometimes have the ability to tap into the psychic maelstrom and do some psionic harm as far as that goes, right? So okay, when an NPC suffers psi harm, create her as a threat if necessary, then choose any or all. She aggressively pursues her threat impulse, makes make moves on her behalf as hard and as direct as you can. Her sanity shatters. She's incoherent, raving, raging, unresponsive, alive but gone. She abruptly changes threat type. Oh gosh. Right, so here's the thing. Oh no. All right. I mean, it makes sense to me that Preen's gang would aggressively pursue their threat impulse, which in some way helps us because what Preen's gang does, right, their impulse is to take stuff, right? So, I mean, that's our goal. We're not like acting out of character or anything. So when it consumes someone's resources. Oh wait, no, I have a note here. Preen is a she. Ah, okay. Spent a whole episode not knowing. Preen, she. Okay, all right. In any case, so yeah, that's what's going on here is they just start taking everything. That's it. They don't particularly care what it is. They're taking everything, and I think this actually, weirdly enough, might actually be helpful, not to us, but to Joe's girl, because if we're taking things indiscriminately, and she doesn't have much to take, we might possibly not take the thing we actually want. Right? I think that that is what is actually happening here, is that everybody is just like, so she mind pings them in whatever way, and that's enough to trade them and be like, we're just gonna take everything we can take. We don't care what it is. Just take it. So that's what they're doing. They're just taking whatever happens to be around. So here's the thing, right? Do they manage in their random grabbing of stuff? No, okay, no, this was a failure move. So I think the idea that we can fail and thereby still get what we want, no, that doesn't make any sense. So their hands are full. I think, we're taking some food, we're taking some of this kind of stuff. I'm gonna say it makes sense that we'd actually gain a little bit of barter from this. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and increase barter by one there. Okay. All right. And then we leave. We leave. Um, and we get back to was it Ula's Isle and head across to our dear friend Ick. Um, and I'm curious what Ick's reaction is going to be, since we didn't actually get the thing we wanted us to get. We didn't. We didn't. We didn't get it. So we bring all this stuff. He's like, gee, thanks. None of this is what I wanted. Right. Okay. Uh, so like, okay, what is his reaction? I'm real curious. Um, I mean, the most obvious thing is that we can't stay here. We can't stay here anymore. We've got to go. We've got to go. That also means Oliver didn't actually get to really see the projector at all either. Whatever, whatever it was that Joe's girl's planning to do with it, she still has it. Um, okay, right. So that is what happens. Now there's one more thing that has to happen here in this session before we stop, and that is Joe's girl in some way needs to reveal something to Oliver. Now I think again she is a psychic, and one of the things that psychics can do if they have access to augury, and I'm just going to arbitrarily say somehow, I'm not going to fill in the details, uh, Joe's girl does. And one thing augury can do is connect you through the psychic maelstrom to somebody else that has some kind of connection to it. And I think, I mean, we know that savvy heads have this, so they tend to operate through things when they do that. But I think that that is enough, right? I mean, you don't have to adjust everything. It's a weird world. It's a weird world. Weird stuff happens. This is not hard sci-fi, right? So he heard enough of Joe's girl's voice to recognize it in his own head. And Joe's girl reveals something to Oliver. So you can hear it in his head. Question is, what does she reveal to him? Now, she has to reveal something about White and what it is that he's really seeking to do. What is his actual belief? That's not the right card. I mean, I shouldn't have drawn a card. I should have rolled. His true goal. He's trying to recover something valuable. No, I don't need that one. So he's actually this makes it see, okay, what is the valuable thing? So what is this valuable thing he is trying to recover? It's king, right? So it is, the detail about it is it is something dignified, dignified, and physical. Dignified and physical. What does it do? Again, it deceives, but deceives in a physical fashion. Right, so that means it looks like something it isn't. It is okay. So what is it about? Maybe it's about a plot arc. Well, there's only one plot arc. Okay. All right. So I'm putting this all together now. Putting this all together. So what she reveals to Oliver is that White is working on this super weapon or whatever it, tank, super tank. Sure, pick whatever combination of words here. Uh, but it feels like Rogue One, right? He's putting into the plans a weakness, right? Intentionally, so that. But I think that this weapon is not actually going to do the thing that Bill believes it's going to do. Right? I think that is it. That uh, White is actually trying to sabotage in some way this plan. So I think that that's actually the twist, and that would be a twist, right? That is that White is sabotaging Bill's weapon. Right? And all of this is said, I'm sure, in some kind of mystic, vague way. What it boils down to is, right, the one that you are seeking, right, may not be the enemy you believe he is or was. Something along those lines. Right? And Oliver then has this realization, right, that even though he has a personal gripe with White and what he did to him, nonetheless, right, it's very possible that he might be trying to help Fleece's Landing, even if not intentionally. He may possibly be effectively helping Fleece's Landing, even if only by accident. Okay. All right. So I think that we're going to uh, stop there for this session and plan the next one. Right, so let's go ahead and think about so if you're just tuning in, we are now about halfway on the series. Actually, yes, this was the halfway point. Yep. Right. So I am following a structure that was developed by Katrina Ostrander for using a three-act structure. I have a link to a blog entry that talks about this and a number of other ways to use a three-act structure in the description below. But the idea here is to take that three-act structure, you break it out into 8 sessions. So it's an RPG campaign. And I'm playing through this solo using Apocalypse World. All of this obvious. So, and the way that I'm trying to do this is have kind of the play and the planning in each video, but have them divided out. So that way, like I am kind of intentionally in player mode and then intentionally in GM mode and trying to separate the two out is the idea. So a lot of the GM mode is kind of figuring out what is the starting situation going to be, and then what are the questions I'm going to have to raise. So things like I knew there would be a twist, and I knew that somehow Joe Scroll would reveal something about White. What that revelation was, I didn't know until I pulled the cards and fleshed it out. Right. So I'm actually kind of enjoying this way of doing it. So at this point, let's look at session 5. So, according to the outline, session 5 is titled The Villain's Revenge. Right, so the villain's revenge is this set of things that happens. It's 4 things. One of the villain's minions or plots triumphs over the PCs temporarily. Secondly, The PCs question their abilities and motives, and then third, the PCs are forced to flee or abandon the current location. So that's what we need to have happen next. So I think the most obvious thing in terms of triumphing over the PCs temporarily, again, there should be another attack. And we had an attack a couple sessions ago, but hey, what's an RPG without some combat, right? Um, it makes you throw your pencil. And then actually be unable to find it. Found it. So I think we're going to start with attack. Now, at this point, what we know is that Shan, so by Shan and their that segment of Bill's gang, I need to double check the gang rules because I'm not sure that I'm using them correctly. Uh, Although you know what, powered by the apocalypse stuff, kind of fuzzy with stuff. That's fine. It's not intended to be tactical or anything like that. Uh, all right, so you start with the attack by Shan and Bill's gang. Not yeah, by Shan heading up that piece of Bill's gang. Bill's gang piece. Sure, I'll remember what that means. I don't trust my future self that much, but yeah, maybe. Okay. All right, so that's what's going to be happening, and I think that at this point, what they are really interested in doing, right, and I think this has probably been true for a while, is that they want to kidnap Oliver, right? So I think they want to get Preen's gang out of the way, right? Her, ha ha ha, her and her gang out of the way, so that they can just capture Oliver and take him in. At this point, we do have the problem that uh, our bike and bus have been burned. Now, might they still be drivable? Who knows? Maybe we got lucky. Maybe. He's a savvy head, so it's possible. Possible. Not going to rule it out. But in any case, uh, that's what we're going to start with. So start with this attack, with their goal to capture Oliver. Now, the end result, okay, is that Oliver must question his abilities or motives, and he must flee Ula's Isle. Or, alternatively, that he gets captured. I'm not going to rule that out. But this is one of those things where, like, I can't make that happen. Rather, that's something that I want to fall out of the die rolls, right? So I mean, that's one of the things when you do specifically solo role playing. Um, but I think role playing more generally, there's the question of how much, and this is something that I talk about. Uh, we have this triangle, and each point of the triangle is something we try to do in a role playing game. We have the system, that's what makes it a game. Right? We have the story, right, which is something that it doesn't necessarily appear in every game. Mm. And then we have the immersive elements. That's the role playing element, where you are taking on and imagining yourself in the shoes of this other person, this character. Right? So we have all three of these elements that work together. The problem is that mentally you can only be in one space at a time, and the more you're in one space, the less you're in another space. And that is exactly why I have structured these sessions the way that I have. That way that I can, in the midst of the game, I can think most of the time more immersively, and only occasionally have to bring in those story elements, like I did here in this session today. It was like, well, we need the twist. I have a rough outline of what the twist is going to be, which actually I'm so glad I had that because it made it way easier for me then to figure out how to get that story element to work in an immersive way, right? Without having to on the spot enter too much of story mode. So I'm really liking how this is working, by the way. I am kind of, I'm not spending too much time on the system, which is something that my personal inclination is to do because I like systems. But doing the story plotting, right, at least in structure, uh, outside of the immersive aspect, I think is real cool. In any case, I was going somewhere with this. I don't remember where I was going with this, but that's okay. Right. Oh, right, right, right. So that's the overall. So I have my structure here that I'm trying to follow. Uh, so what I'm planning now is those story elements. So I think it makes sense. Start with the but okay. Again, it's a game. It's a game. So because it's a game, it's not purely going to be narrative. You need to have room for the system to do something. That was the point that I was getting to, right? So if I just know what's going to happen, in that case, there's no reason for me to bring out any dice. Right? Why do I have these things? Why do I have these if I'm not going to like allow them to actually affect the way the story plays out, right? So I think that that's really kind of the philosophy here is that I don't want to just decide. Right? I want these random elements, my cards and my dice, to play a role. So in effect, what I'm allowing is that the story I am telling the system what the blanks are, and it is helping me fill those blanks. If that makes sense, right? So I'm imagining here in the next session, right? One thing that is not a blank, we know how things are going to start because that just follows very logically, both from the structure and also from the world. Uh, and Bill's gang knows where we are. They burnt our vehicles. They know we probably haven't gone very far. They're probably gathering reinforcements at this point. When they come back, it will probably be more than what they had before, most likely, which means we're going to be in serious trouble. So when we talk about so we're talking about triumphing over the PCs temporarily. I mean, yeah, that's going to be what happens. That's pretty obvious, but it's obvious, and I don't have to just like will it so. But what is this triumph going to look like? That's something that the dice can determine. For example, like if I try to escape and I roll really well, then I escape. And yeah, the triumph is that yeah, I escaped with like nothing. That's not a great situation to be in, having to walk across the wasteland. But on the other hand, it's better than it could have been. On the other hand, if I roll terribly, right, then it's much more likely that one, I might get hurt by hurt, be hurt. Okay, I might be hurt, and also that there might be some other effect, like I get captured. But I'm going to let the dice determine, right? Which way does the story go? Either way is a type of defeat, but at the same time, the exact details get filled in by the system. That's the point, right? So, structure, starting with the attack, the result of this is that I'm going to end up questioning my abilities and motives, and I think that's fairly obvious regardless. Uh, and we have to flee from Ulis Isle or get captured. So I think that is really the question that's going to be determined by the dice. I think it's going to be a short session next time, which is probably good. And then after that, we'll plan session number 6. In any case, and as we session number 6, we're pushing real fast toward the climax, and I don't know uh, what this is going to be like. I'm I have some ideas about session 6, just kind of looking ahead. But we'll see what happens in session 5, and then we'll plan session 6 from there. All right. Well, again, thank you for tuning in. And this is Prof E signing off.